We've discovered a compelling story of two people whose uncanny facial likeness calls into question the fundamentals of genetics, set out on an adventure where the differences between fate and incident become more cloudy, unveiling a bond that is beyond the limitations of blood ties. In today's video, we are going to tell you the spine-tingling story of a look-like identical twins who are not related by blood. Sounds shocking, right? Let's dive straight into details. Doppelgangers are unrelated individuals who occasionally resemble one another so much that they could be mistaken for twins or, at the very least, siblings due to their strong physical similarities. Hearing that you look like Obama or Beyoncé can be great, but is it possible to look exactly like someone you've never met? Yes, it seems, and a new organization is trying to prove it. The Twin Strangers Project was founded by a group of friends to locate other people who resemble them. The co-founders of TextPlainDect said they set out to investigate the possibility that 7 people in the world resemble each other identically, since they had heard a hypothesis about this. They therefore allowed themselves a month to compete at the end of March to see who could locate the most doppelgangers. According to recent studies, doppelgangers may have more characteristics than first seem. Numerous genetic and lifestyle characteristics are also shared by people with very similar features. Given how important a person's face is in establishing their identity, it makes sense that many people are curious to locate or even get to know their lookalikes. Considering also how the world's population has grown dramatically over the past century. A recent study found that even though two people are not related, they nonetheless appear to share some genetic traits. Many of the individuals who shared these genetic similarities also shared similar weights, lifestyle characteristics, and behavioral patterns including smoking and educational attainment. This could imply that genetic variation influences some behaviors in addition to being linked to physical appearance. For a very long time, scientists have been curious about what makes a person's twin. Is it inherited or developed? Spanish researchers made an effort to learn more. The journal Cell Reports published their findings. A DNA test was requested of the pairs by the researchers. The couples answered personal questions about their life. Additionally, the scientists ran their photos via 3 separate facial recognition software systems. Of the individuals they enlisted, 16 pairs exhibited scores that matched identical twins found with the same piece of equipment. Even if the other 16 pairs could have appeared identical to the human eye, one of the facial recognition program's algorithms didn't believe so. Next, scientists examined the subject's DNA in more detail. Compared to the other 16 pairs, the pairs that the facial recognition software indicated were comparable and shared many more genes. We could observe that these resembled humans since they had many genetic traits in common. They also have certain genetic variations that are related in that they have similar nose, eye, mouth, lips, and even bone structures, and they are highly frequent among them. And the primary finding was that genetics links them together. Because there are currently so many people on the planet, the system will eventually produce people with similar DNA sequences. This probably always was the case, but finding them is much simpler these days because of the internet. Additional elements at work. Upon careful inspection of the pairs, they discovered more differences. Significant changes were found when researchers examined the doppelgangers' epigenomes, as they are called. The study of epigenetics focuses on how an individual's behavior and surroundings can affect how their genes function. The pairs that appeared most alike had diverse microbiomes when the scientists examined them. The microorganisms that reside in the human body and are too small for the naked eye to perceive are known as the microbiome. The study stated These results might have implications for the establishment of other human anthropometric properties and even personality characteristics, in addition to providing insights about the genetics that determine our face. There are several restrictions on the study. It is challenging to conclude that these findings would hold for a larger group of lookalikes due to the short sample size. Despite this, researchers think that a larger group would differ from their findings. It's uncertain if the findings would hold for people from different regions of the world, because the study also concentrated on pairs that were primarily of European descent. The study is quite intriguing and verifies a lot of the earlier studies, according to Dr. Karen Grip, a pediatrician and geneticist at Nemours Children's Health, whose work is mentioned in this article. Scientific use in the real world. When working with patients who may have genetic disorders, Grip evaluates their facial features using algorithms that can identify certain genetic conditions. It's a little different from the study, but it still suggests that variations in an individual's genetic makeup impact their facial structures. This study also supported the underlying hypothesis that these variations are real, whereas other factors, such as the microbiome, did not appear to be as significant. Regarding the nature versus nurture debate raised by the study, Grip believes that both are significant. As a scientist, I genuinely think that nature and genetics play a major role in practically everything, but that does not negate the importance of nurture. I don't think it's one or the other. There are so many contributing factors, and the environment is so important for every person to succeed in the world. Let's look at another intriguing story of two people who look identical but are not in any way related. When Michael Malone joined Charlie Chasen's band as a guest vocalist in 1997, the two met in Atlanta. The two men were so similar that many around them thought they were twins, but they didn't notice this until they rapidly became friends. Mr. Chasen and Mr. Malone are identical twins. Despite their apparent similarities, they are unrelated. Even their immediate ancestors come from different corners of the world. Mr. Malone's parents are from the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas, while Mr. Chasen's came from Lithuania and Scotland. The two pals took part in a photography project by Canadian artist François Brunel, along with hundreds of other unrelated lookalikes. The photo series, I'm Not Your Copy, was motivated by Mr. Brunel's discovery of the English actor Rowan Atkinson, who looked like him. Not only has the project gained popularity on social media and other online platforms, but genetic relationship scientists have taken an interest in it as well. After studying the physical distinctions between identical twins in the past, Dr. Manel Estela of the Josep Carreras Leukemia Research Institute in Barcelona, Spain, decided to investigate the opposite situation. Individuals who share the same appearance but are unrelated. How do these persons fit the description? He pondered. 32 pairs of people who were similar to Mr. Brunel in his photos were chosen by Dr. Estela and his colleagues to undergo DNA testing and answer questions regarding their lifestyles. The subject's facial similarity was measured by the researchers using facial recognition software. Comparable overall scores were obtained by 16 of those 32 pairs of people using the same program as identical twins. Next, to determine whether the DNA of these 16 pairs of doppelgangers was similar to their faces, the researchers compared the samples. Dr. Estela discovered that, in comparison to the other 16 pairs, who the program judged to be less similar, the 16 couples who were true lookalikes shared a notably greater amount of their DNA. He claimed, these people share significant portions of the genome or DNA sequence, which explains why they look alike. The idea that more alike-looking individuals share more genes would seem like common sense but had never been shown, he continued. But DNA by itself is not able to fully describe our composition, our epigenomes, as scientists refer to our set of turned-on and off genes, are shaped by our experiences in life, as well as those of our ancestors. Furthermore, our environment has an impact on our microbiome, which is comprised of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, and acts as our tiny co-pilot. Dr. Estella discovered that although the doppelgangers' microbiomes and epigenomes differed, their genomes were similar. He stated, "Genetics put them together, and microbiome and epigenetics pull them apart." This difference indicates that the similarity in look between the pairs has less to do with their upbringing settings and more to do with their DNA. Dr. Estella was taken aback by that, since he had anticipated a greater impact from the environment. To some extent, the doppelgangers' resemblance is just the result of chance, driven by population increase, as their appearances are more likely to be caused by shared genes than by shared life experiences. After all, one can only create a face in so many different ways. According to Dr. Estella, the system is repeating itself because there are so many people in the world today. It's logical to believe that there may be someone out there who looks just like you. In the future, Dr. Estella hopes that the study's conclusions can aid medical professionals in diagnosing illnesses, because individuals may have disease predilections if their genes are similar enough for them to appear similarly. It appears that there is a significant genetic component causing two individuals with similar appearances to have genome-wide similar profiles, stated Olivier Elemento, the director of Weill Cornell Medicine's Englander Institute for Precision Medicine in New York, who was not associated with the research. He suggested that differences between people's real appearances and DNA forecasts could notify medical professionals of potential issues. Dr. Estella further proposed that there might be connections between behavioral patterns and facial features, and that the results of the study could eventually help forensic science by revealing the faces of criminal suspects whose identities are only known from DNA samples. Though not associated with the study, Daphne Marchenko, a postdoctoral researcher at the Stanford Center for Biomedical Ethics, advised care when extending the study's conclusions to forensics. Dr. Marchenko stated that the work raises a lot of important ethical considerations, and that we've already seen plenty of examples of how existing facial algorithms have been used to reinforce existing racial bias in things like housing and job hiring and criminal profiling. When working with patients who may have genetic disorders, GRIP evaluates their facial features using algorithms that can identify certain genetic conditions. It's a little bit different from the study, but it points in the same direction that changes in a person's genetic material affect the facial structures, and that's the same underlying assumption that was used in this study as being indeed confirmed, in contrast to some other things like the microbiome did not seem to be as relevant, GRIP stated. Regarding the nature versus nurture debate raised by the study, GRIP believes that both are significant. She added that the study shows that facial recognition software's accuracy is still limited. While the federal government and some local law enforcement have begun utilizing face recognition software more regularly, numerous cities have passed rules prohibiting or restricting local police from using it because they are concerned about privacy issues and misidentification difficulties. According to a 2021 federal inquiry, at least 16 federal agencies use it for cybersecurity or digital access. 6 use it to find leads for criminal investigations. And 10 more agencies stated they intend to increase its use. In airports, it's also utilized more frequently. It is utilized by some businesses to assist in hiring selections. Installed by certain landlords, it allows tenants to access buildings. It's used by certain colleges to track attendance and keep an eye on people's movements in public areas on college campuses. If you translate this study into the real world, that shows you a potential pitfall that digital facial analysis tools could misidentify somebody. Grip stated, even while the technology is getting better, previous research has shown that it is significantly less accurate at recognizing persons of color. As a result, some black males have been mistakenly arrested using facial recognition. If you think about the facial recognition software that often opens computer screens and things like that, misidentification is possible. So I think this has taught us something very important about facial analysis tools too, Grip continued. However, it appears that the investigation leads to one conclusion. We might not be that different, at least not in the physical sense. I think all of us right now have somebody that looks like us, a double, said Estella. Malone, who is friends with his double, finds solace in the knowledge that he is not the only one with his appearance, even though some people would rather be unique. His friend and he have grown closer as a result of his similarity to them, and he believes that if more people realized how similar they all are, maybe they too could find common ground, especially in this divisive society. Notwithstanding the possible drawbacks of associating a person's appearance with their DNA or behavior, Mr. Malone and Mr. Siemren claimed that the look-alike project and the possibility that every one of us had a secret twin served as a unifying force. After 25 years of friendship, Mr. Malone was the first person Mr. Chasen called when he was getting married. Mr. Malone stated that he considered Mr. Brunel's photography effort as another way to connect all of us in the human race, even though not everyone with comparable DNA has such a bond. In conclusion, even though they might not seem to be related at first, the lack of genetic connection emphasizes the amazing variety of human forms and the elegance of coincidental similarities. Let us welcome the wonder of coming across seemingly identical people who are somewhat different from one another, but remarkably similar in their rights, as we wave our way through the complex web of human connections. If you enjoy watching this video and would want to see more about the look of identical twins but are not related, please like it and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to activate your notification bell to get alerts whenever we post a new video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.